Look at all this evidence that there's a glass sky. 22 pieces of evidence. Number 1, rainbows, halos, glories, circumzenith arcs, sundogs, and other atmospheric optics, which are created by sunlight passing through glass and being projected onto water vapor. Number 2, Libyan desert glass. The mystery of where it came from is solved if you realize that there's a glass ceiling in the sky.
Far out in a remote part of the Sahara Desert, there's a mystery. Scattered around in the sand are thousands of chunks of strange yellow-green glass.
It is really a mysterious glass, and we scientists are still kind of puzzled how these things formed.
The ancient Egyptians knew of this extraordinary place, but for thousands of years, it's remained unexplained.
Within the Libyan desert glass, there are traces of graphite. Let me find that really quick. Here we go. The silica glass also contains carbonaceous inclusions consisting of 5 to 50 nanometer thick polygonalized graphite ribbons that form closed structures up to 200 nanometers in diameter. So the graphite ribbons. Now, negative refraction, if you go to Wikipedia, you look up negative refraction, it will say negative refraction is a name for an electromagnetic phenomenon where light rays are refracted at an interface in the reverse sense to that normally expected. Such an effect can be obtained using a metamaterial, which has been designed to achieve a negative value for both electric permittivity and magnetic permeability. Now, metamaterial is a man-made material. Metamaterials are artificial materials engineered to have properties that have not yet been found in nature. However, graphite, this study right here says graphite, which is not a man-made material, it's actually a natural material, has been found to produce negative refraction under certain ultraviolet conditions. I'll find that for you right here. Negative refraction at deep ultraviolet frequency is monocrystalline graphite. Monocrystalline graphite. Using ellipsometry measurement of the equifrequency contour in the deep ultraviolet frequency region, typically 254 nanometers, obvious negative refraction was demonstrated in monocrystalline graphite for incident angles ranging from 20 to 70 degrees. This negative refraction is attributed to extremely strong anisotropy in the crystal structure of graphite, which gives the crystal indefinite permeability. So, you'll have this little graphic here where I show that I explain what I just read to you, okay? There are little ribbons, microscopic graphite ribbons within the glass that are creating a negative refraction in the sky. So it's actually inverting the sky to give you the illusion that the sky is a dome. So I can just go into Illustrator here. I'll show you really quick. I got an observer here, and this yellow line is the glass sky. Now, let me get the red layer here for you. Okay. Now normally, these purple arrows, normally, that's a normal refraction. It would shrink objects from Earth's perspective. So if you're down here, if you're looking up into the sky, it's shrinking the heavenly objects. And it's giving the normal indications of normal refraction. However, because of the graphite ribbons within the glass sky, it is actually inverting the sky, so it's diverging outward toward you, and that's also why I believe we get the sun and moon illusion at the horizon. With this negative refraction, it simply just turns the convex dome inside out, and you get actually a greater refraction at the extremities here, okay? The greater the incident angle, the greater the squishing and the greater refraction like that. And so this little blue area would be the apparent dome illusion the dome illusion that you think is the sky. Negative refraction in glass creates the sky dome illusion. Okay, so light is bending within the Earth. If you're new to this phi ratio trajectory of vision is showing how light actually bends. It gives the illusion that you're living on a ball. And with this negative refraction of the glass sky, it inverts the heavens. Okay?
For an instant, a giant red flash appeared. On replay, they can see beautiful shafts of light thrusting upwards towards space. The mysterious sprite in all its glory. Then, the sprites keep coming. On board, the team reviews the stunning and unique images. This sprite was shaped like a mangrove tree. It's been captured in more detail than any sprite until now.
It talks about sprites and elves, not like little people, but at the top, sprites are upper atmospheric lightning. It's like lightning that happens above the clouds. And so these people, they went up in airplanes and they documented these sprites. They took high shutter speed camera, because they don't happen that, I mean, this happens like almost instantaneously. But you'll notice here, this top of this plume of this upper atmospheric lightning, it hits a barrier, it hits a wall. It's hitting the glass sky. And notice they even say it's at 60 miles high. Well, the glass sky is at 100 kilometers, which is roughly 62 miles. So, play a part of this video. It's pretty wild.
Sprites of many different forms appear, one after another. Seen up close, they have a variety of shapes. Eventually, a sprite appears that demands special attention.
This is spectacular.
The umbrella-like top of this sprite reaches an altitude of around 60 miles.
60 miles. Look at that. It's hitting a wall. It's hitting the glass sky.
It's the altitude of the air.
They call those elves. ELVES.
That's the altitude of the airglow layer that appeared in Furukawa's footage from the International Space Station. The image confirms that sprites interact with the ionosphere.
Well, yeah, the ionosphere is actually just glass. It's an insulator. Okay, the Earth is one big capacitor. Concave Earth capacitor. There's a gap between the electromagnetic forces from above the glass versus the ground. And the glass is the insulator. And so the lightning bridges that gap, just like in a plasma ball. That's what's going on. So the top of this light, it's like you're touching your finger on the glass of a plasma ball. That's what's happening with the top of this sprite. It's the same concept. It's hitting the barrier. It's hitting the glass barrier. That's why the bottom end of auroras are at that same level, 100 kilometers. There's glass in the sky, folks. You're looking at me through my polarized sunglasses. I'm doing this to show you that the sky is actually polarized because of the glass. See, they'll say that the sky is polarized, but they won't admit there's glass. The glass sky is causing the polarization of the sky, and then we understand why nacreous clouds, or iridescent clouds, you know those clouds that have all those really cool mother-of-pearl-like colors in them? It's happening because there's two different polarization filters passing through, or actually sandwiched between the clouds. That's why we see the polarization. And that can only happen within the concave spherical Earth where the light is bending around. I'll show you that later, but you can just watch some of these interesting videos about photoelasticity, where this guy takes plastic spoons and forks and he has them on a computer monitor which has linear polarization, which is being backlit, and then he's filming it through a polarizing filter mounted to the camera lens. And so what he gets is these same type of colorization stress values that the nacreous or iridescent clouds have. Same thing. It's the same thing, guys. He calls it photoelasticity, and that's exactly what's happening now. Why would that be happening if I were to take, I'm going to show you a bit in a second here, if I were to take a camera mounted with a polarizing filter and hold up something plastic, if I held this up to the sky, on a blue sky, with a polarizing filter mounted in my camera, I would get that same effect. So where's the other polarizing filter coming from? Where's the backlit polarization coming from? Well, obviously, the glass sky, right? Let me see if I can find that one. Here we go. Look at that. This guy's holding up a plastic hanger against the sky with a polarizing filter mounted to his camera lens. Why is the photoelasticity happening? It can only be happening if there's a backlit polarization happening, and that's because there's a glass sky that's creating the polarization. The glass sky, the polarization of the sky has been proven. It's been studied. Okay, even bees orientate themselves because of the polarization of the glass sky. So when the sun is at different angles, especially when it goes down low, when it sets or when it rises, that's when we get these nacreous clouds. Find that one. That's when we get these, even after the sun sets. So I'm going to draw this little diagram for you. I'm going to show you how it really works. So we need, in order for us to see these nacreous clouds, these mother of pearl clouds, these iridescent clouds, we need to have the cloud sandwiched between two polarizers, okay? And so since we're not, when normally we're not viewing these clouds through a polarizing filter, when we see them in the sky, there's got to be another source of the polarization, and that's because the sunlight is bending. This is the concave Earth, remember, guys. And so at 90 degrees, like say, the sunset would be about here, but once it starts going past, I'm saying it's going this way, but just reverse everything. If this were the west and this was the east, and it's setting as it goes this way, so it's more than 90 degrees, the sunlight bends around, and once it passes through the glass sky, this would be the glass sky, the light gets polarized. So the redness is showing the polarization of the light, and then it curves around back, and then it hits through the bottom of the cloud and then rises back up again. So that's why we get photoelasticity, or the mother of pearl, or the rainbow effect of the nacreous clouds, because we have the polarized light coming from the bottom, and it's being projected against the top of the sky, which is already, as you know, glass. So we have polarizer from below and polarizer from above. The same thing as this guy is doing here with his camera. Same effect. Okay, guys? They call it Rayleigh scattering, whatever you want to call it, but the main reason why light is being polarized in the sky is because there is glass. There's a polarizing glass in the sky. Raman studied the glass sky and understood that the glass sky has the Libyan desert glass. See, the Libyan desert glass in Egypt are pieces of the glass sky that fell down long ago. Tektites are pieces of the glass sky too. So much proof that there's a glass sky within the concave Earth. So when he studied this glass sky, he found out that there's linear polarization happening within the Libya desert glass samples. And so that's right there, guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, a lot of people have been asking me about this ice halo that's captured above the Red River in New Mexico. It's very simple, guys. Simply the glass in the sky. Because of the cold weather, the ice crystals are more numerous, more abundant, and they're creating the caustics. Go to Google, type in glass caustic sunlight, and you'll get the same exactamundo effect. Because there's glass in the sky in the concave Earth, that's why it's happening. So, you know, we got the U.S. National Weather. They all will not admit the simplicity of the glass sky causing the caustics in the atmosphere. Okay. You got this Dabu 7. Whoa, look how pretty picture. Glass. The sundog. What is the sundog? What causes the sundog? Well, in this video, I will attempt to explain to you why there is actually a sundog in the sky. Let's first go to Wikipedia and let's see what Wiki says about the sundog. Sundogs or sundogs, mock suns or phantom suns, scientific name parhelia, are an atmospheric phenomenon that consists of a pair of bright spots on either side of the sun, often co-occurring with a luminous ring known as a 22-degree halo. Just interesting that they would call it a phenomenon. In other words, a mystery. I don't know really how it forms. Sundogs are a member of a large family of halos created by light interacting with ice crystals. In the atmosphere, sundogs typically appear as two subtly colored patches of light to the left and right of the sun, approximately 22 degrees distant, and at the same elevation above the horizon as the sun. They can be seen anywhere in the world during any season, but they are not always obvious or bright. Sundogs are best seen and are most conspicuous when the sun is close to the horizon. Okay, guys. Sundogs are commonly caused by the refraction of light from plate-shaped hexagonal ice crystals. So they're saying the cause of the sundogs are from plate-shaped hexagonal ice crystals. Well, if that were truly the case, if there was no other material causing the sundogs, just ice crystals and the sun, you wouldn't have this perfectly round circular ring around it for one thing, and the ice crystals are dumb. In other words, they don't have intellect, so they cannot choreograph themselves to form this circle. It's the same thing with rainbow. The problem with their explanation of rainbows. So, what is really happening here is there is a glass sphere. There's a glass sphere up in the sky, and it's reflective, and it uses the ice crystals as a surface of projection. Let's go back to my 3D program, and I'll show you how I have this set up. We have a light source in the center, and we have two sundogs. Alright, you rotate that light a little bit. As you can see, if I move it around, it creates a ring, doesn't it? It creates a ring. Okay, let's go to my wireframe mode to show you how I have this set up. Zoom out a little bit. This black circle sphere is the glass transparent reflective sphere. And where's my camera? My camera is actually inside the sphere. And the light is outside the sphere. So there's a lot of ways in which you can adjust this. Let's move the camera outside of the sphere and see what happens. Go back to VPR. And, okay, I have a lens flare attached to this light source. Let's turn that lens flare off just so we can have some more clarity here. Okay. Alright, so we still have the same effect with the camera outside the sphere. So, rotate that light a little bit, the same effect. There's our sundogs. There's our light source and our sundogs. Isn't that interesting, guys? Just another piece of evidence that there's glass in the sky. There's a glass ball in the sky within the concave Earth. look at this. Hey, everybody, let us know your article. Look at this article. It's a recent article, too. It says a simple optical phenomenon that no one's figured out yet. Nobody has figured this out. Not the brightest geniuses in cosmology have figured out. What a bottlinger rings. The article goes on to say most of us have seen halos around the sun. We know why they happen. And then there are Botlinger's rings. No one has figured out why they exist. Nobody. It's not unusual when traveling by plane to look down and see the sun reflecting off a cloud below you. This little patch of reflected brightness is called a subsun. Sometimes you'll see a circular halo around the subsun, and sometimes, without knowing it, you'll see an atmospheric mystery. Shut up. Circular halos are fairly common, blah blah blah. Okay, now listen up, guys. Why? Shut up, phone. Why do they say nobody's figured out Bottlinger rings? Why? I guess they don't understand there's glass in the sky. Duh. Also, that darker part, that circular darker part, that's due to a polarization effect caused by the glass sky, caused by the birefringent glass sky. But I was talking about the dark area within the circle. Because sometimes if you look up in the sky, you see this halo, this 20-degree halo. The area that's within the halo, the sky area, gets darker. The reason why it gets darker is because that's how polarizing filters work in glass lenses. And we know that the sky has a slight polarization to it because it has birefringence that was found in the Libyan desert glass in Egypt. Has a weak birefringence to it. So at certain angles, the way the sun is turned upon the glass sky at certain times, it's going to darken the sky slightly. So that's why that area within the halo is dark. It's a polarizing effect. They'll never tell you that. Now, Bottlinger rings. Bottlinger rings. Let's look at some of these Bottlinger rings. Oh, look at that. You know what Bottlinger rings are? That there's glass in the sky. It's very simple.
Whoa! Oh my god! Oh my god! Double rainbow all the way across the sky! Oh my god! What does this mean?
You got the celestial sphere, alright? You got the sun glass sphere, you got the moon glass sphere, and you got the 100-kilometer glass sphere, you got the Earth, okay? We got the phi ratio curve going, you got the centripetal convergence force, we also have the phi ratio going the other way, the centrifugal divergent force.
When your outside's in, and your downside's up.
There's a sweet spot here. That's where phase conjugation is happening. Phase conjugation, or wave coherence, or negative refraction. There are graphite ribbons in the glass. Okay? So what we have here, if you understand how the rainbows actually work, it's not raindrops. It can't be raindrops. If we have a sun, let's say the sun is right over here. Okay, it's coming from the octahedron. It's shining its light. So this light beam that's going to go through this first glass, it's going to refract correctly, positively. So it's going to bend, the refraction is going to bend it slightly. So the red and the violet. You notice that the red is bent less than the violet. That's how it works. So, but since it goes through a negative refraction, a reversal in polarity, I guess, it's going to refract the other way now. So we have the violet going like that, and we have the red going like that. And then once again they resolve again at the end. So this area here, that's where the moon resides. So that's why we get the negative refraction. So it's exhibited in the secondary rainbow. The secondary rainbow, okay, if we have the initial rainbow here, let's say
the initial primary rainbow, the red is going to be on the outside, right? And the violet's going to be on the inside. Terrible rainbow. But the secondary rainbow, it's less bright. This is the moon sphere. It's reversing. There's a reversal in effect. That's why we have a reversal in the secondary rainbow. It's because of the negative refraction, the phase conjugation, the wave coherence. This is where the phi ratio, where the centripetal and the centrifugal forces, they converge, and they have this harmonious play with each other. And with the graphite ribbons in the glass, it reverses everything. That's why the moon, when the moon gets farther away from us, when the moon is over here, as opposed to over here, this is the actual perigee, even though it's farther away. It will enlarge. And it will shrink when it gets closer to us. It's the exact reversal of how we view things. So, secondary rainbow is proof positive that there's glass in the sky and that there is negative refraction at play. Welcome to the inside of LSC. One little correction. I have to reverse. This is the actual centripetal force. It converges upward, so I had them reversed. So this is the centrifugal divergence force. Fugal divergence. So, but they're still going to cross there. There's still going to be a sweet spot where there's wave coherence, and the negative refraction, the graphite ribbons in the glass sky, cause it to reverse.
I want to talk more about quadruple rainbows. There's actually two sets of double rainbows. The glass sky has been found to have birefringence in it by taking samples of the Libyan desert glass, which are remnants of a shattered glass sky that happened long ago in Egypt, the Libyan desert in Egypt. A guy called Rahman, back in 1950, he found that it has weak birefringence. Now, birefringence, as I mentioned before, is when the light ray goes through a crystal or glass medium and it splits. Okay, it has the ordinary ray, and then it has this extraordinary ray. They call it an ordinary and an extraordinary. The ordinary ray is going parallel. It's going perpendicular to the axis, and then the extraordinary is going slightly parallel, not quite parallel, but almost. And so that's what causes the shift. You'll notice here in the quadruple rainbow, there are four bows, okay? You have the ordinary bow and the other secondary part of the ordinary bow, and then you have the extraordinary bow and the secondary part of the extraordinary bow. And what I believe is that the ordinary bow, the glass sky, because it has a top and a bottom surface to it, it actually casts at certain angles. It casts two bows. Normally, you only see the main rainbow. However, sometimes at different angles with sunlight, it's projected onto water vapor in the sky. The water vapor is not the source of the rainbow. It's the actual white light of the sun being dispersed through the glass sky. It's breaking up into the spectrum. That's why it's bowed in the first place. It's actually more correctly called a sun bow, not really a rainbow. It's just like if you hold a flashlight to water vapor, you hold a flashlight to a white wall. Okay? The wall is not creating the rainbow. It's actually the light, the dispersed light of the lens of the flashlight. So the lens in the sky is dispersing the light. It's casting it onto the reflective water vapor. So that's why we have rainbows. The rainbows were created after the flood. Genesis 9:13 says, when you see the rainbow, it's a promise that the earth won't be flooded again, because the rainbow is a result of the glass sky, which compressed the atmosphere and pushed the waters down. It's all scientific. This has been suppressed big time, and now it's finally being out in the open. Now this is so easy to understand. Okay, birefringence. Okay, why rainbows get clipped? A flat earther was asking me that question. I'll leave him nameless out of dignity. I don't want to shame him too much. Flat earthers don't understand, as well as convex earthers, they don't understand that light bends. Light has been proven to bend. You can go out and do your own tests and realize. I refer back to Wild Heretic's article about the bending of light, where Wilhelm Martin studied the curvature of light. So light is bending within the earth. Okay, I made a previous graphic about rainbows. I didn't explain why they clip, though. I'm going to do that now. So the sunlight is being bent around, it's being dispersed through the glass sky, and it's being projected, okay? It gets dispersed, it gets polarized. So going in to illustrate it here, I made another graphic showing, okay, so here's the sun here. It's approaching sunset. Let's say it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And it projects different, well, let's say, different columns of light from wherever you are, whatever vantage point you are. Let's see, like if you're over here, you're going to see the sun ring, the direct sun right over there. So if you're way over here, more extreme to the sun, you are going to see the rainbow or the sunbow. It's actually called it's really a sunbow. When you are in between the clouds and the sunlight, right? So the reason why you're only seeing a partial bow is because the sunlight comes around. It cannot bend enough at ground level, so it gets clipped like that. However, if you rise up higher, let's say in an airplane at that same vertical height, you will see the full sunbow. And you can go back here and I can show you. See, once the light gets past the glass, it's going to be dispersed and it's going to be polarized. So if you're in an airplane, you've seen this before, pictures of this. It projects the shadow of the plane, and there's a rainbow or a glory or a sunbow circling the shadow of the plane. That's because the plane is between the sunlight and the cloud. And obviously, it's bathed within the dispersed light. So that's the reason why rainbows get clipped like that. Okay?
Are you a heliocentric gravitational bullshit spinner moron? If you are, you would have to accept the traditional explanation of why a comet is happening, and you'll have to say that it's divided up into a dust tail and a ion tail, because these comets just have a never-ending supply of dust. It just keeps leaking dust wherever it goes, because they're billions of miles away, and they're just splitting up like that because, well, they just like to split up like that. And even though they're completely oblivious to what we observe with natural phenomena, with lensing aberration and lensing distortion, which has glass as the imaging catalyst, which actually creates the distortion. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Ever since the dawn of time, when man has been trying to figure out why comets are forming, they neglected one very, very, very important element: glass in the sky. Glass. Here's a bullshit documentary, The Comet's Tail. Kind of funny that they call it The Comet's Tail, because it is fiction. It's fiction, guys. It's fiction. It's fiction. What is a comet? Look at this. What is a comet? Facts. Facts about comets. Let me know. I really want to know what comets are. You gonna tell me? Comets are balls of snow, ice, and dust that orbit the sun. Most of them spend all their time at very edges of the solar system. They have long oval orbits that can take hundreds of years to complete. If the comet travels close to the sun, it warms up. The snow and ice turn to gas, which along with loosened dust erupt from the comet's surface and stream out to form two long tails. T-A-L-E-S. These comets can be seen as bright streaks in the night sky if they pass close to the Earth. Dust. Gas. How about no? How about lens aberration? How about coma aberration? You know what coma aberration in photography is, guys? Coma aberration. Let's take a look at coma aberration. This guy is actually shining a light source through a glass lens, and the angle of the incident light source, it's an off-axis angle. It's going to be an oblique angle, so it's going to create an aberration on the screen here.
Image, and it's away from the optical image.
Let's see him tilt it. Oh look, he's going to tilt it now. What's happening? Look at that. Right there, you see that? That's called coma. It actually has a term in photography. It's called coma. Coma, or chromatic aberration. It creates a tail. Chromatic aberration. It's a real effect. Coma in optics. The chromatic aberration, refers to aberration inherent to certain optical designs due to imperfection in the lens or other components that results in off-axis point sources, such as stars appearing distorted, appearing to have tail, coma, like comet. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is glass in the sky, and the sunlight wraps around and it shines on these comet objects. It gets filtered through the glass. There's a birefringent quality, I've told you before in my videos, to the glass, which will split up the tail into two different projections, two different tails, and it's creating a coma optical effect due to the glass. That's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's all it is. It's an off-axis focal point. So it's creating a tail. Look at this, Catalina comet. They didn't want to talk too much about the Catalina comet last year, because normally their comets, the tail is opposite the sun, but this particular comet, had the tails going in almost the exact opposite direction. You know why that's happening? Coma aberration. There's actually another term. It's called tangential astigmatism, or sagittal astigmatism. Let me find that tab. First off, it talks about chromatic aberration. I mentioned that before, why the stars have a red shifting to them or a blue shifting. It's a fringe effect because the stars are behind glass, behind a damaged glass before. As I told you before about that due to the flood. Okay, so we have a damaged glass sky up that's encompassing the celestials, the stars in the celestial sphere. But then we also have, I believe there's actually at least two more glass spheres. One that's enveloping the sun and the planets, and then the one at 100 kilometers high. So we have chromatic aberration. I've already explained to you that. Chromatic aberration. See, we get the fringing effect going on. That's what's happening, guys. You're still going to get chromatic aberration with some of these SCT telescopes that claim to not produce chromatic aberration. Like I showed you in a video before, about a year ago, how you will see the shadow of Jupiter's moon on Jupiter, and there's going to be a fringe. That was looking through a telescope that claims to not produce chromatic aberration because there's glass in the sky. Don't tell anybody. They'll think you're crazy. Monochromatic aberration. What I want to get to is chromatic aberration right there. Just coma is named for its comet-like shape. It occurs when light from a single source entering at the edge of a lens is not projected at the same size as light entering the center of the lens. Okay? So we're going to get an off-axis shifting of the focal point of light, creating a divergence in the light and making a tail. Alright, so we talked about that. So chromatic aberration, coma. You can see this on street lights. I'll pull up some of the images I pulled up in Photoshop. There we go. There's right there. It's chromatic aberration. In photography, looking through this lens, this photographic lens, the edges of the lens are going to actually create this chromatic aberration depending on the f-stop that you use. Some more pictures of chromatic aberration. This is probably, no, this is chromatic aberration. There's at least, we got 6 or 7 different classes of aberration here. We got coma, tangential, astigmatism. That's what I wanted to talk about as well. Then you got coma plus astigmatism on the right there, or sagittal astigmatism. Some of these comets look like they even have like 3 tails. How's that working for you, Newton, Neil deGrasse? How's your comets working out for you with your gas? Are you running out of gas? Are you running out of dust? So we got tangential and sagittal astigmatism. Astigmatism causes point light sources at the edge of the frame to appear to stretch in line. Astigmatism can occur in 2 directions dependent on the direction that the light is spread. So we got some of these comets exhibiting tangential astigmatism. It's right there, guys. The comet is like a dead giveaway. There's glass in the sky, and the Earth is concave, cellular. Oh, look, here's some tangential astigmatism appearing at the corners here. Comet Catalina. We got 3 tails here. Here's one with 3 tails. So we got some tangential astigmatism with some coma aberration on the glass. Separated by the birefringence, separating it into the different wavelengths of colors. That would make sense too. There's birefringence in Libyan desert glass, so we know it's made out of. It has a birefringent quality to it. Look at this. Comet Catalina is actually exhibiting. The tails are like they're swirling around. It's like a clock. It's like you got the minute hand in the second hand, or the hour hand in the minute hand. They're just like swirling around there. How is that happening? Oh wait, I know. This is your explanation. It's just perspective. So we get 2 tails pointing in different directions. In the case of Catalina, we see it at an angle that makes it look like they point in opposite directions. Bullshit. You're full of shit. Don't let them bullshit you with their word salad, sophistry, bullshit answers. Why comets appear in the sky. Unbelievable. See, I made this comet in my shower here with a glass curved too, using chromatic aberration, shining a flashlight through glass, creating the coma. That's right there. Now but the sun here on the top, and the light, actually it's going to be radiating around, bending around like that. The sunlight can either be coming through the lower glass and going back up again to create the splitting, the coma aberration effect, or like I said before, the sun could be in its own glass chamber, tabernacle, as Psalm 19 would say. It's in its own tabernacle, so it's possible the light is emanating through this glass tabernacle and it's creating the coma aberration because the incident angle of the light is hitting like that. They also talk about coma aberration being apparent in mirrored reflecting telescopes with a parabolic mirror as opposed to a spherical mirror. A parabolic mirror is not going to be completely circular. It's going to be more like a parabola, and so that coincides with how I told you before how the glass sky is flexing throughout the day. It's not a perfect sphere because of the pressure and the lack thereof, and it's creating the tides that way. And there's magnetite in the glass, and it's being attracted by the moon and the sun. It's all right there, guys. So we can have nested concentric spheres. It's all right there. Coma aberration. Coma, okay, the orbit of the planets. Now these comets obviously have a very long cycle, maybe 80, 90 years or whatever. And so most of the time they're going to spend their orbit very close to the sun, where they're not being seen by the sun because of the way the sun emanates out like that, possibly. But for some reason they're staying up higher where you're not going to get the incident angle, the obliqueness of the light hitting it. And so, but when they do descend over time and they get closer, I believe that when they get closer to the glass sky at 100 kilometers high, that's when the sunlight, the oblique angle of the sunlight hits them. And that's when it creates the coma aberration. And then it goes back up again via convection. I believe it's convection. So it's like a temperature ascending and descending effect. It's all cyclical, all right there within the Earth, behind the glass. Comets. Can you believe all the shit you guys swallowed? I swallowed too. I mean, we were taught this bullshit in school. Dirty snowballs. Fucking idiots. They know about this, guys. Of course they know about this. The Masons. Come on. Don't be stupid anymore. The easiest answer. Occam's razor is there's glass in the sky and the Earth is concave. It's very simple. It's very simple to understand. Everything explained with the glass sky that they couldn't explain before. Remember? Tektites. Remember the mystery of tektites? It's very simple. Pieces of the glass firmament. It's a mystery to them, though. Obviously, megacry meteors, Bottlinger's rings. That's all right there, guys. And comets. Comets. Okay, look at this one here. Look at curved light. I mean, it's right there. Why is a comet's tail curved? Because light is bending. It's a hard surface. The reason why you're bouncing radio signals off of the ionosphere is because it is a hard surface. If it was just a plasma cloud, it would not bounce. It would not reflect. It would just be absorbed. So many good reasons to understand. It's right there. It's hidden in plain sight. It's hidden. Well, it's not in plain sight because it's transparent, but it's right there. Okay? It's the same way we see auroras. Auroras. Think of a plasma ball. Okay? The auroras are happening inside the glass on the inner edge. Okay? There's plasma above the glass. The ions. The ionosphere. Okay? The light is interacting with the plasma. It's creating a surface, a canvas to project the light onto, and it's curved. Chromatic aberration. It's right there, guys. It's right. This is it doesn't work in any other model. You need glass in the sky to see a comet. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. And it doesn't work if it's a dome over a flat pizza. That doesn't work. Sorry. We have an equidistant height of the bottom of auroras, the top of sprites. It's all 100 kilometers. Radio wave propagation, Schumann resonance, all at 100 kilometers. It's our broken record here. Okay. Coma aberration, birefringence, ionized plasma, light, tangential astigmatism or sagittal astigmatism. These are optical effects due to lens aberration with glass. Period. End of sentence. End of story. It's over. Concave cell Earth, glass sky. End of debate. We win. Thanks for watching.
Did John Lennon really use meaningless lyrics to confuse people who were reading too much into his songs? Or is it possible he was gifted with the insight of seeing the universe? Across the universe, your inside is out and your outside is in. The higher you go, the deeper you fly. No longer spinning on the merry-go-round. No longer on the ball, but in the ball. Looking through a glass onion. Interesting lyric there.
Let's imagine we are John for a moment here, and we're standing on a cast iron shore, looking up into the sun through a glass onion. Now, a cast iron skillet is both convex and concave depending on which side you're talking about. However, if you're standing on a cast iron shore filled with water, it can only mean you're standing on the concave side. Now, John sees the sun as if the light was being splayed out as it hit a glass sphere enveloping the sun. That's why Eddington and Einstein foolishly thought gravitational lensing displaced stars, having a series of reinforced laminated glass spheres. That's why we see the supernumerary rainbows, increasing the refraction, and the electromagnetism is bending the light to create the menorah effect as it wraps around and then converges out in front of the sun, creating an onion shape looking through a glass onion. Also, at the top of the onion, it has the shape of a dovetail. Like a dovetail joint, there is a convergence area there that creates a dovetail. Interesting that the Holy Spirit symbol of the dove, a sure indicator that reveals direct sunlight is being pinched toward an area in front of the sun, is by seeing the red on the inner circles of both the 22nd and the 46th degree halos, indicating a negative index of refraction. Normally, the red will be on the outer ring of a rainbow projected through glass. Hence, when the sun is behind us, the 22nd degree halo flips from a negative to a positive index of refraction, while the secondary rainbow remains negative. This reversal is indicative of bending light through glass with its direction of curvature and its sign of refraction influenced by magnetism and phase conjugation. Now let's look at why Lady Madonna is trying to make ends meet. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the answer to the biggest mystery that helioseismologists face, and that is, where do the magnetic flux lines of the sun connect, if at all? Well, looky here, they got two onions in an interplanetary magnetic field. Ha! They say that through some process, as yet not fully understood, the sun's field must keep regenerating itself across 4.5 billion years of time. Well, now that we know that we're living inside the Earth and the sun is a magnet, and the circuit completes itself as it wraps around and gets sucked back into the celestial sphere with the octahedron in the center, sucking in the light again, reconnecting it, regenerating it, and then shooting it up to the north apex, where it once again emanates on the high arm of light and hits the back of the sun, which I know you'll just have to take my word for it, is dark flat, and there are a series of collimated light rays hitting the diameter. Circuit complete. Loop complete. Arc complete. Fixing a hole in the ocean. What does that mean? Well, since Lady Madonna is trying to make ends meet, she can't quite make them meet at the celestial sphere, so there's a little hole in the celestial ocean. And it is the hole that is indicative of the dark region that creates the lunar eclipse, not the shadow of the Earth. This is how the phases of the moon work. This also creates an interesting beetle pattern of light. Libyan desert glass sacred scarab, anyone? The fool on the hill apparently resides there. Well, that's the part that fools you. The fool is not there. Even though John says he's living there still, that was intentional to confuse you. The fool is down here. The joker. The fool. I'm the fool. What about bent back tulips? Seeing how the other half lives. What other half? What are you talking about, John? Oh, you mean heaven. Seeing how that lives. How the light from the sun hits the celestial sphere, especially when it's behind the sun. Almost as if tulip petals are being bent backwards. It's all there, ladies and gentlemen. The mystery is solved. Now you know the paths of light to the house thereof, where the fool is not there. The fool is here.
above in Brooklyn, chunks of ice falling from the sky on an 80-degree day. The big question, where did it come from?
Well, this car was going 0 miles an hour when it got into an accident. A chunk of ice fell from out of the blue and crashed through its windshield while it was parked at a central Pennsylvania car dealership.
Okay, what we're looking at here, you can see, hopefully, I'm going to run the light along the beam here. There is what looks to be a 2x12 that is absolutely smashed from the top. You can see up there's a lighter portion on the skip sheathing where the beam has come away, where the rafter has come away from the ceiling. This had to be an incredible impact. You can see the brake line.
Brian, this is like what was on the floor.
This is the piece that came. I have to believe something that, which we have to assume it's lost some mass in the heat, but
yeah.
Well, had to be going.
There's another piece in the same.
It had to be going at an incredible rate of speed.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea where it came from. It's made a huge dent in the garden, but there's tufts of grass over there. It could have hit the house just behind us. It could have hit one of the kids at the door.
So I was sitting about 3 feet outside the kitchen door when I heard a huge, what sounded like an explosion. And I thought I was going to get up and look outside and see some horrific thing outside. I kind of turned to my left, which would have been towards the kitchen. And in that instant, the kitchen had been destroyed. I had beams hanging, ceiling had crashed in. Just unbelievable. And I was in shock, just speechless. I was too dumbfounded to be scared at that point.
Ice. But ice is our friend. We skate on it. We put it in our drinks. We use it to help relieve injured muscles. Oh, no. This ice was not nice. It was huge. Just like this one. Weighing about 20 pounds. Imagine this crashing through your ceiling. So where in heaven's name did a piece of ice this size come from? Basketball-sized piece of ice. Maybe Shaq O'Neal finally made a free throw.
It fell out of the sky. That's what a Cape Coral couple says this pile of ice, chunks, came from, scattered all over this neighborhood.
The couple says the impact, in fact, was so hard it left an indentation in the ground. 4 in Your Corner's Adam Pinsker trying to get to the bottom of this chilling mystery.
Patrick Amy, 4 in Your Corner weather expert Tony Sudiku says it is not hail since storm conditions that night were not present to create hail. Now, the man who discovered this mysterious ice says he heard it slam into the ground.
You heard it probably 10 seconds before it hit, and it got louder, and it sounded like a drone, just like something pushing past the air.
It was this pile of ice, the Cape Coral family says, crashed down through the darkness into a field near their home.
And it made a boom.
The impact leaving a slight indentation in the ground.
25, 26, 27.
And scattering large chunks of ice several feet from the impact zone.
Imagine if that came through somebody's house.
And we reached out to the National Weather Service, NOAA, and a professor at FGCU to find out